Okay. We have this. Probably should have waited a bit until starting this. Streaming. There we go. Pop out chat. Merry Cracker. Good evening, everyone. Indeed, I am streaming right after spending the entire afternoon watching spooky streaming Socialist. Today's Yap Sesh will cover an important failure in the American left, meaning constantly falling for Democratic Party running dogs and blindly believing in electoralism, or just having any hopes whatsoever within the Democratic Party. This is one of the points. The other point I want to touch on is American exceptionalism. I know this is not original. These topics have been covered time and time again. Okay, I will. Is this better regarding the? Yeah. Sorry. Is this microphone volume better? Yes. Okay. Let me know if I need to raise the volume. This is a Michael Parenti moment. I need to set it up properly sometime soon, but for the moment, this is gonna have to do. So we have an update from yesterday, I think, regarding Graham Platner. He submitted his paperwork to withdraw his campaign from the Senate race, the main Senate race, which is an amazing thing. However, you know, it's a Senate race. It's either gonna go to the Republicans or to whoever the fuck the Democrats are going to put instead. We've known for a while that, you know, Graham Plattner not only is a fight agency backed candidate, fight agency is a an agency, right, by the Democratic Party, or for the Democratic Party, that finds candidates and tries to. Can't do without my trusty lemon juice. Tries to get them elected by relating to people with the whole fight the oligarchy grift. Hello everyone. So, I need to put this into live chat so I can monitor people who say racial slurs in chat from wherever they are, for whatever reason it is, so that I can ban them and send them to Tel Aviv, back to where they belong. So, yeah. Thing is, something that really bothered me is how we've seen what Graham Plattner has said, openly bragging about his tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, about genociding people in the global south, about guarding the Abu Ghraib torture camp, where they tortured Iraqi civilians as a Blackwater mercenary. And to American social democrats, he was basically the next Bernstein or whoever the fuck. I struggle to find a figurehead of social democracy I want to portray him as. Karl Kautsky. Right. No, more seriously, he was not even a social democrat or a democratic socialist like Mamdani. Um, his whole political identity was made up by this fight agency corporation that backed his campaign and that found him as an individual to pretend to relate to the American working class by having a platform of we'll give you healthcare, we'll give you all these things that are givens in social democracies, that are givens in countries that have a semblance of care for the working class, let's say. He was just a fucking running dog, right? The other part of his campaign was to talk about how he's gonna grow the US military and build back the US Navy. This, plus the whole, oh my god, this really angers me. No more pointless wars. And with his little no war pin, the guy was telling his parents back in college that he was waiting for his war, the war on Iraq, the war on terror, the war on Afghanistan. The guy was ecstatic when 9/11 happened, simply because he wanted the US to retaliate and genocide people in the global south. How do people fall for this? I don't know. But now, of course, recently, his ex-wife came out and testified that, well, to everyone, that he raped her. How people are surprised that a guy who murdered and probably raped women in Iraq and Afghanistan, guarded a torture camp, would rape someone back at home, his ex-wife. That's fucking telling. That's fucking telling. Now, like, we're gonna gloss over the fact that they never cared what he did. That was wrong. Killing and raping people, they never cared because they were Iraqi. But now that it's a white American woman, his ex-wife, now suddenly they care. But they does not encompass all of his supporters, right? A lot of people were like, oh, this is the last straw, or this is what is gonna make us withdraw our support from him. Not necessarily because they didn't believe in the campaign, right? Most of them would probably still be supporting him, or would have supported Adolf Hitler had he ran today. Have you people seen what some of these media people were saying? I know the people who watch Spooky Streaming Socialist would know. They did the whole rape culture thing where they blamed her for telling him she needed her glute massage and then told him she didn't want him to come. Anyway, yeah, so he's a rapist, he's a murderer, he's a social imperialist. Not a social imperialist, sorry, an imperialist and a social fascist. So, the thing with the whole Platner thing, right? These people like Hassan, oh my god, there's so much to say that I struggle to know where to begin. Every time a candidate that promises them, not people in the global south to be freed from imperialism, them, Americans, healthcare, or just these vague little concessions, right? Something even liberals in Canada are doing, right? They fall for it. Head, heels, whatever the fuck the expression is, they fall for it dead ass. They straight up fall for this shit. And then they have the audacity to tell Marxists that we are idealists. Very, very funny way to put it. For not believing that Democratic Party entryism and the DSA can save America, right? Now, I do think that the DSA has the potential of people meeting other people there, right? And then going to a third party, a revolutionary vanguard party. There's no such revolutionary vanguard party in the USA right now. There's the American Party of Labor that is doing some good work. I see the Maoist Communist Union up in New York doing some great work. What other alternatives do people have? The PSL, the dingus PSL, that thinks that the growth of the productive forces is the criteria of social progress. That thinks that China is on a path to socialism by having a mixed market economy that produces effectively billionaires, that has private property rights enshrined in the constitution because it is a capitalist country, that arms states against Indian and Filipino Maoist guerrillas. The CPUSA, which is basically doing that, but even worse, telling people to vote for the Democrats. How are you a pretended communist and are giving into the whole vote blue no matter who thing? It's crazy. I think it's very crazy. And the other option, it's not an option, right? The ACP. Heavy emphasis on the CP, not Communist Party for these fucking people, if you call them that. I do believe some people in the ACP, individuals, not the party, do have genuinely well-meaning intentions, and that's all there is in their area, I guess. Dugin? Fucking Alexander Dugin? Martin Heidegger, the devout Nazi? MAGA communism? Really, guys? So, yeah, what the American working class needs is organized. An organized labor movement, an organized political labor movement. Syndicalism alone won't do anything because syndicalism is effectively just quantitative economic demands. This is what Lenin criticized with The Economist, where they wanted to only struggle for incremental gains in their wages and let politics to the politicians. When the social, the political, the economic are all intertwined, of course. That's why it's called the political economy, right? So, where am I even going with this? I don't know. Yeah. So, organizing tenants, organizing workers in associations that work in parallel with the unions to bring political demands. An actual revolutionary communist party. This is the movement building we need. But the US is not in a revolutionary period. There hasn't been these decades of work to build up these networks of secret communist parties like there was in the Russian Empire prior to the advent of the Russian Revolution, right? So for these fucking ghouls to think that... Sorry, I'm gonna stop using insults because it kind of abstracts from the point, distracts from the point. These Democratic Party entries, these social democrats or liberals or democratic socialists, believe that the election of said democratic candidates that often turn out to be like this, or get effectively like... How do I even go about saying this? Candidates from the Democratic Party that run on a relatively progressive, I hate using that term, but democratic socialist or socialist adjacent platform always end up moderating their discourse once they get elected, and it can only go downhill from there. Kshama Sawant was mentioned here. I do think this is a good thing, objectively, just an actual socialist getting into Congress to have the slight minimum impact. We're not entirely against using the electoral process, but we shouldn't be trusting this with our entire movement. No. Do organizing instead of spending your whole entire fucking time defending social imperialist, fascist, rapist, murderers. So, I wanted to read a passage from Joseph Stalin about social imperialism. I don't have my network browser here. Okay, Rip Lenin. So, when we talk about social democracy, right? In Lenin's time, or before World War I, when there was the split between the Social Democrats and the Communists, everyone was kind of allied around the social democracy label. As in a socialist society, a democratic socialist society, right? Effectively, what became Marxism-Leninism. This is the point where Anarch thinks he's being very witty. But the split happened during World War I when people like fucking Karl Kautsky betrayed the movement and said, yes, we're gonna support the war. We are going to support World War I, an inter-imperialist conflict. While Lenin was on the opinion that the proper way to go about this was revolutionary defeatism. A revolution defeating your national bourgeoisie in their imperialist struggle. And this is what happened during the March to October. So, why did it open there? Yeah. All right. Now, if you people want this whole text, I have this entire text as an audiobook on Socialism Now. I'm gonna read chat after this because I'm a bit behind. So, all right. Some people think that the bourgeoisie adopted pacifism and quote-unquote democracy, not because it was compelled to do so, but voluntarily, of its own free choice, so to speak. And it is assumed that, having defeated the working class in decisive battles, the bourgeoisie felt that it was the victor and could now afford to adopt quote-unquote democracy. In other words, while the decisive battles were in progress, the bourgeoisie needed a fighting organization, needed fascism. But now that the proletariat is defeated, the bourgeoisie no longer needs fascism and can afford to use democracy instead, as a better method of consolidating its victory. Hence, the conclusion is drawn that the rule of the bourgeoisie has become consolidated, that the era of quote-unquote pacifism will be a prolonged one, and that the revolution in Europe has been pigeonholed. This assumption is absolutely wrong. Firstly, it is not true that fascism is only the fighting organization of the bourgeoisie. Fascism is not only a military technical category. Fascism is the bourgeoisie's fighting organization that relies on the active support of social democracy. Social democracy is objectively the moderate wing of fascism. You know that quote? There is no ground for assuming that the fighting organization of the bourgeoisie can achieve decisive successes in battles in governing the country without the active support of social democracy. There's just a little ground for thinking that social democracy can Fuck. My guy. My vision is getting worse and worse. There is no ground for assuming that the fighting organization of the bourgeoisie can achieve decisive successes in battles or in governing the country without the active support of social democracy. There is just as little ground for thinking that social democracy can achieve decisive successes in battles in the country without the active support of the fighting organization of the bourgeoisie. These organizations do not negate but supplement each other. They are not antipodes, they are twins. Fascism is an informal political bloc of these two chief organizations, a bloc which arose in the circumstances of the post-war crisis of imperialism and which is intended for the combating of the proletarian revolution. The bourgeoisie cannot retain power without such a bloc. It would therefore be a mistake to think that pacifism signifies the liquidation of fascism. In the present situation, pacifism is the strengthening of fascism with its moderate, social democratic wing pushed into the forefront. Secondly, it is not true that the decisive battles have already been fought, that the proletariat was defeated in those battles, and that bourgeois rules has been consolidated as a consequence. There have been no decisive battles as yet, if only for the reason that there have not been any mass, genuinely Bolshevik parties capable of leading the proletariat to dictatorship. Without such parties, decisive battles for dictatorship are impossible under the conditions of imperialism. The decisive battles in the West still lie ahead. There have been only the first serious attacks, which were repulsed by the bourgeoisie. The first serious trial of strength, which showed that the proletariat is not yet strong enough to overthrow the bourgeoisie, but that the bourgeoisie is already unable to discount the proletariat. And precisely because the bourgeoisie is already unable to force the working class to its knees, it was compelled to renounce frontal attacks, to make a detour, to agree to a compromise, to resort to democratic pacifism, or social democracy. The whole text is very good. And it has very, very good denunciations of pure reformists and people who nowadays really give into the whole Norway, Sweden, Finland thing, right? All this to say that the Platnerites, or the American Social Democrats, it's not even a suck them, won these benefits for the American working class, thinking that it is a fight against the oligarchy. When in reality, these are slight reforms that the bourgeoisie can easily concede. It pacifies the working class movements and prohibits it from going further, from further developing into a revolution. There you go, Lenin, back in your spot. Hey! What up, Trotsky, bro? How you doing? And unions play a similar role, right? When the demands are purely quantitative, people only focus on that quantitative aspect. So the need to build a working class movement needs to be paired with the conversion of purely economic demands into political demands. Anyway, you also, yeah, of course, notes and notes. You have to have a strategy, a long-term strategy to deprogram this stuff about communism being bad. And I think, I don't know, part of me thinks Trump is doing that right now. By constantly talking about the threat of communism, people who already hate him are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He might be saying this. I might believe this too. I might reflect on these biases. Again, I might just be really overestimating the American working class. Again, they have the Second Amendment and they refuse to use it. So I'm going to read the chat, catch up a bit, and then we're going to continue the discussion. Jano, hello, I was recommended one of your videos recently. I like how you're a genuine leftist and not identity politics focused 2016 stock leftist. Flounder talked about class oppression or gender and sexual discrimination. No. Identity politics is not the abstraction of race-based discrimination, of gender-based discrimination. Identity politics is disregarding actual arguments and relying on someone's identity as an argument on itself. No, arguments have to stand up on their own. Don't go around saying, let's say I'm this or that oppressed minority, therefore you can't criticize me. This is exactly this kind of shit that Persephone Vanderwold pulled, right? I am a, she said sex worker, but that was a porn blog with sexual exploitation of other people. Uh, Not entirely a revolutionary praxis. And trans academic, and I got called a turf and swerve for saying that these were not qualifications to talk about the history of the Soviet Union or Marxism-Leninism, let's say. Same thing that, let's say, FD Signifier or that other fucking guy did when arguing with Badim Benada. Not using any actual proof, not using any actual arguments, but weaponizing your own identity against someone because you want to shut down the discourse. That's what the problem with IDPOL is. Like, no one's here is saying that we should abstract from gender-based discrimination, right? No. The victory of socialism also means the real big amounts of work towards a more free and fair society and a deconstruction of previous biases regarding gender norms, right? We are still in a very misogynistic society, and this needs to change. We are in a very transphobic society. This needs to change. Homosexuality is much more accepted than it was before, and it's not really a cause for discrimination, mostly here, at least in Canada. Economically, not disadvantaging. Really, the in the queer community, right? The most oppressed or the most economically exploited people are women, trans people, and people of color, notably, and most importantly, this doesn't have to do with the queer community. I don't know why I mentioned it, but migrant workers. So yes, we are in a very racist society, but this is dependent upon the capitalist system. I don't know where I'm going with these discussions. I have also a text-based, a video script coming right up. I'll record this soon. I just need to do it with the Khrushchevite elements about what is social progress, about what is wokeism or anti-wokeism, right? Just to fight off some ACP chuds. I need to stop using this TikTok language, chuds. These ACP reactionaries. Yeah, revolutionary propaganda, of course. This whole thing about Platner and with the Democratic Party as a whole, I think it's the moment for people to realize that the Democratic Party is a party of the ruling class to enforce the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. They are billionaire funded, they have done the same war crimes and same genocides as the Republican Party. They only have a facade of progressivism sometimes for certain American minorities, while still upholding the same fucking capitalist imperial system. And for some people to say that one is better than the other, and that therefore you should vote blue no matter who, is laughable. Democrat and Republican politics or policies have been relatively the same. And the people who suffer the most from these administrations are not Americans. They're elsewhere. They're from the countries that America imperializes. The child in Palestine doesn't care if it was a Democrat or a Republican president that authorized the sales of bombs to Israel for their family's murder. Ay, ay, ay. But yeah, a lot of this topic about socialism, communism, we're still in this period of Red Scare propaganda. I think a lot of people are politically disengaged. We've seen it with participation in elections all over North America, right? A lot of people don't vote. A lot of people have the opinion that a third party in the US is necessary. Here, people are still blinded by this multi-party system when they all serve the same interests. While one has, I think they're in good faith, but they've been regressing with Quebec Solidaire, of course. It's pitiful, really. Like, just how widespread do you people think both parties are bad is in the USA? I think it's very widespread. I'm not gonna fucking spew shit out of my mouth because I don't know the actual statistics. Let's actually find some polls. American USA. A poll in a two-party system. Maybe Pew Research. Protect Democracy. Okay, I'm not going to trust protectdemocracy.com. Why do I say this? I don't even know who these people are. Yeah. It's so. Pew Research portrays this as political polarization, and I do think the Americans are very politically polarized, but they're both fucking right-wing parties, right? They all think both are close-minded, dishonest, immoral, lazy, unintelligent. Wow. This is 2022, but yeah, not much support for third parties. Jesus. Again, they're talking about choosing from other parties, but those parties are still going to protect the interest of the ruling class, the capitalist class. Oh yeah, nah. So if you want to hear about the RCA here, or the RCP, right? They have the members pamphlet and they have the manifesto. They're a Trotskyist party that spends their entire time selling newspapers, paper newspaper, by the way, harassing people and by asking them, really peer pressuring them into donating to the party once they're a probationary member. They have very odd takes at times, and yeah, they're not actually engaged in the labor movement. Here, they're just appealing to petit bourgeois uni students in the social science faculties, not actually engaging in actual work in the community, right? They have the Congress, they have the bookstores to read Ted Grant and Trotsky, but when it comes to parallel union organizing, when it comes to tenant organizing, when it comes to work in the masses, they don't do that. They don't do that. Oh my god. Yeah, of course. Well, this is the problem with the electoral system here, right? Or all over the West. This is a capitalist world where we live in bourgeois democracies. no matter how many parties there are, the ruling class doesn't let socialist or communist take power. Now, some do get elected, and I do think it's it's our responsibility to actually popularize communist and socialist ideas, not just cry that we can't win any elections because we don't work with elections only. Slopulism. But yeah. Oh, it has to be tough. Here across Canada, we're organizing not a union of tenants in a given building, right? This also leads to purely academic demands. But local groups in every city or every major city, every city will have one of these groups, of course, to fight back against the landlords and to organize communities, to build community, and to make links between people in the same community, right? I feel so alienated from my neighbors. It's incredible. I don't know anyone in this fucking block. The thing is, it's a yeah, not the most prime location for political organizing, let's say. Okay. We're gonna watch the ground planner video. Where is it? My results are all in French. I'm gonna lose it. We're gonna analyze this point by point. Because this is kind of awful pretend progressive that we always come across on the left, or nah. I hate the term left or leftism. No, it's either Marxism, Leninism, or nothing, yang. So, do I have my headphones? Yes, I have these earbuds, AKG earbuds. I've been converted. They're like $8. They work wonders. And my sound doesn't work because I turned it off. Filters, properties, yeah. Headphones, yeah.
With more, hi Phil.
Hi, Larry, Brian, and Amanda. The final
The final shoe has dropped. His candidacy is officially over. Platner promised he would do this when he suspended his campaign Wednesday, and now he has. Platner emailed the signed letter between 4:30 and 5 today before the end of business. You see it now on the screen. It's addressed to the Maine Secretary of State's office. One page. To whom it may concern, I write to formally withdraw my candidacy for the United States Senate. The next two paragraphs pretty much revert to a stump speech fighting billionaires and oligarchs, opposing forever wars, supporting.
My guy, you participated actively in genocide and you still brag about it this fucking day. Your whole platform is based on expanding the US Navy. Oh my god.
Medicare for all, strong unions, and movement. See it now on the screen. It's addressed to the Maine Secretary of State's office.
Yeah, sure. He says free Palestine. That means he's an anti-Zionist, right? Not a liberal Zionist with a brother-in-law who's a Mossad agent.
One page. To whom it may concern, I write to formally withdraw my candidacy for the United States Senate. The next two paragraphs pretty much revert to a stump speech fighting billionaires and oligarchs, opposing forever wars, supporting Medicare for all, strong unions, and change. In submitting this letter today, Platner writes, I seek to further the movement we have built together and the future we believe in. My name may have been on the ballot.
What fucking
but
movement?
That ballot line belongs to the people of Maine. He ends with, F ICE, Free Palestine, Up the Hearts, and Solidarity Forever. It's been an astonishing downfall for the most talked about political candidate in the country, really. A new kind of Democrat.
The fuck you mean a new kind of Democrat? That's the same kind of fucking slop list, to use the term people said before, shit that we've seen for years. It's just an attempt by the Democrats to kind of change course a bit, to appeal more to a certain voter base, because they realize that Kamala Harris really fucked up by continuing to support the genocide of Palestine during the 2024 election. But yeah, that's the point. He's talking about oppose forever wars. That means he supports wars that are not forever. That's the whole fucking point. He supports war. He's a warmonger. Anyway,
Outsider representing the working class.
He doesn't represent the working class, dog. He's a business owner.
A military veteran who drew huge crowds to more than 85 towns.
Yeah, military veteran. You're not a leftist or a progressive if you run on a platform of being of making your whole thing right, being a military veteran with that fucking Nazi tattoo. Anyway.
Town halls and derailed the two-term governor's quest.
Yeah, we'll call her Holocaust Harris.
To be the Democratic nominee to face Republican Susan Collins this year. His campaign collapsing in 5 days over an ex-girlfriend's allegation of Platner raping her 5 years ago, a charge he still denies.
Of course, he still denies it. He doesn't take accountability, and he just tries to withdraw himself from accountability for his fucking actions.
Now, the Maine Democratic Party is creating from scratch a new process to replace Platner. Aspiring candidates must gather, we've
100% it's going to be another rapist.
Learned today.
Or a pedophile.
500 signatures from registered Democrats by July 20th, including at least 50 names from 8 of the 16 counties. So who's in? Already the list begins with...
Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, we're gonna go one by one finding who these people are. Alright, Nirav Shah. Politics 2026 US Senate campaign. Okay. He wanted to be governor of Maine. Does he have anything in there? No? Huh? He was Cambodian Ministry of Health? He had a career in the Cambodian Ministry of Health. Interesting. Not much to say on him, right? Just your average Democrat. Campaign website. Okay, we're gonna go to his website. Is it visible on the stream? Do you see the? Of course not. I'm fucking stupid. Here it is. Ay ay ay. Here it is. Maine deserves better. Dr. Nirav Shah is fighting for Medicare for all to ensure billionaires and corporations pay their fair share, to hold Donald Trump accountable, and to end the corruption in DC that strict their economy to benefit the privileged few against you. Basically the same fucking thing, right? Just your average social democrat thing. We're gonna tax the billionaires. So healthcare, yeah, of course. Housing. Oh, cutting the red tape. Yeah. Defending Maine from Trump. Small business. There we go. Veterans. Ay, ay, ay. Those who served our country should never have to come home and fight for basic care, stability, or opportunity. Those who served to genocide brown people in the global south for us, for our benefits, should never have to come home begging for housing. Oh, fuck it. Just get a job, man. Veterans across Maine answered the call to serve and continued giving back long after their time in uniform ended. Oh my god. Yet too many still face challenges accessing healthcare, paying for college, finding affordable housing, navigating support systems, or getting the help they need in the communities they call home. As governor, I'll make sure veterans' issues are a priority. Wow. Expand access to waiver programs, care, and services veterans have earned. How do they have earned this? For fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, killing people? Poorer than them? And ensure that Maine always has the backs of those who've served in our country, of course. Gun safety, tribal sovereignty. Unions. Data centers. He's a bit less outspoken than Platner, but whatever. Now, Troy Jackson. Who is this? They're all like copy and paste fucking Democratic candidates that only talk about Medicare for all and corporate power. No, I don't want the money to. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, see, I think I see this and I think dystopia. Why do people have to donate thousands of dollars to candidates, right? What proletarian has the disposable income to send their money to support the campaign of a politician that's going to be elected in the Senate? That's crazy. Yeah, nothing on him. Shenna Bellows. Who is this? Oh, enlighten us. What did Bernie say about data centers again? Yeah. Always people talking about civil rights, but they're always liberals or Democrats that support U.S. imperialism. Political positions. Of course, just basic human dignity. Mm. Oh, there you go. Bellows supports large cuts to the defense budgets and largely opposes military intervention by the US, saying we cannot afford to be the world's military policeman. Okay. Started well by saying she opposes military intervention. That's the bare fucking minimum. But then running a thing that we cannot afford this. No, we cannot afford this. Just like the people saying like, oh, sorry, why are our tax dollars going to Israel? That's your problem. Your problem is that your tax dollars are funding this, not that it is happening in the first place. God fucking damn. But yeah. Now that was the only person so far that wants concrete action to reduce the impact of U.S. imperialism. Even then, I don't know if that's their actual opposition. Jordan Wood for Maine. Wow. That money can't buy. Again! They run on the same campaign. These people are copy and paste. Platform. The Epstein files. Yeah. Ah, there it is. Godspeed every time. That's crazy American exceptionalism every time. The US must also reassert itself as a leader on the global stage that stands up for human rights, democracy, and against authoritarians. You are the authoritarian, you fucking ghoul. Let's look at this. ElectJordan.com. Bro, where it is? Where is it? Nah, it's not even on there. Alright. Oh, there it fucking is. The October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas was a horrific crime that shocked the world. My guy! It was a Hannibal directive by Israel to motivate their genocide of Palestinians. They knew ahead. And his problem, of course, is that it's with American tax dollars. And yeah, support for Bernie Sanders' Block the Bombs Act that doesn't prevent the sending of arms to Israel. It only says to stop sending offensive weapons that are being used against civilians. Basically, tells Israel, yeah, we're gonna give you bombs and missiles for your Iron Dome, but you have to tell us that you're not gonna use it to harm civilians. They don't see Palestinians as civilians. They don't see them as people. My guy. Destroyed any semblance of legitimacy while saying the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas. I support Hamas unequivocally. Hamas is a force for good in Palestine. It is the resistance of a colonized people against their oppressor. Nothing more, nothing less. Alright, that was Jordan. So yeah, all goals.
Also ran in this year's Democratic gubernatorial and U.S. House 2nd Congressional District race.
I love mocking news anchors.
There's the four sort of top tier people, at least the best known people.
They're the top tier people, of course.
Nirav Shah, the former CDC director, Troy Jackson, the former state Senate president, Shanna Bellows, the current Secretary of State, also a former state legislator, and Jordan Wood, the former congressional staffer who came in third in that second CD race. So they are just four of the many names. Well, we don't know how many, but we'll know in the next week or so. But there are other people trying, but those are four who are proven candidates who've raised the money, who've run campaigns that just ended a couple weeks ago when they lost the ranked choice runoffs, but they're back in it, and the Democratic Party has its hands full trying to figure out how they're going to actually staff the delegates at the convention, 500-600, and how those delegates will vote. Will there be ranked choice voting or not? These are questions we still have, but we'll hope to learn the answers in the coming days.
All right. Graham. Ah. This may be temporary, of course. No, it's actually crazy. Like their AI assist here, it doesn't mention his participation in genocide. Jesus. Come on, gang. Come on. So stupid. So yeah, this is the kind of shit we always come across. Yeah, I was discussing the candidates that the Democratic Party is putting up to replace Platner, now that their chief genocider is dropping out from the race. And yeah, this is the thing with American exceptionalism, right? It's so ingrained in this fucking society. These people can spend like 2 minutes without dick sucking the cock of any veteran that killed people in their name. Yeah. And the USA bombed Iran again. Fucking hell. It seems like Iran has better control than they used to on the Hormuz Straits, which is a different dynamic than there was before, of course. But what if I want actual news? Nothing interesting. Oh my god. I don't care about the World Cup. I only care about Haaland. So, what even is there to be said anymore? There's no redeeming for this kind of pretend Sugden, this genocidal imperialist candidates. Just Get organized. Get fucking organized. Ay, ay, ay. Now, this doesn't mean we're done for today. We have to find something to watch on stream. Do I even have the energy for this, dog? I fucking hate American exceptionalism. These people, over and over again, they're going to. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Seems like I missed a lot of the chat. Um, I hope you're right, Zafira. I hope the US empire is gonna collapse. I really do. Inshallah. Inshallah, it will collapse. And when it does, we will all say Alhamdulillah. I'm lucky struggling to find actual slop. Actual lib slop. What if we go on the second channel? I mean, it is inevitable that the contradictions in the United States will become so severe that either civil war will emerge, well, or there will be incredible state repression. People have to be organized. That's the bottom line here. Same with Canada. But everything we say is monitored and sent to their fucking military servers to arrest anyone who dissents. And now the USA is adopting a new kind of warfare against the anti-fascist, the socialist segment of the working class. They arrested a guy and gave him 100 years in prison for distributing anti-fascist signs or pamphlets. I'm trying to find something to watch, but my own fucking content comes up. Yeah, they absolutely do want to make lessons of these people, but if you want to be a revolutionary, you have to. It's easy to say in a place that doesn't as heavily repress people as the global south, but you have to realize that there's a risk to be arrested if you organize, and to take that risk, otherwise nothing ever happens. And this has to be a collective realization. Oh my fucking god. William C. Fox, The Origins of Totalitarianism, 10-hour video. Using anti-communist tropes and talking points, of course. Hmm. Yeah, I think I'll try to vote harder for the new Democratic Party. That's totally going to help us. The new Democratic Party in Canada, they're a social democratic party that wants only reform and polices people that denounce Zionism and Israel and Jewish supremacy. They police people who are too far left for them. They basically ran Eve Engler into the ground, and basically make liberal Zionism the acceptable norm in their party. I don't like the NDP, dog. True, absolutely true. Is there new Anarch content? I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this. No. What about Bandmas? Is bro? I can't wait till the next Anarch video. Bro's probably gonna become an end cap again. Well, yeah. And one of the things people need to understand is that Black Bloc actually does fucking work. If you're going to do direct action against the capitalist state, I won't spare you people from NRA. If I have to deal with him, you're gonna have to watch. But yeah, um, it's hard to be on YouTube because you can't make an argument about actual tactics with anecdotal evidence without fedding yourself, without throwing yourself to the feds, without ending up in a jail cell. I'm not going to add any supporting evidence here. All I'm saying is that if everyone stays together with the same fucking outfit, same fucking mask, are hard to differentiate, the police are going to have a hard time, especially if they underestimated the amount of people that were there. What have you missed in the past 70 minutes? Oh boy. Really, just a denunciation of US exceptionalism, of social democracy, and the failures of the quote unquote Democrat left. If you can call them left. They're not leftists. Have never been. Lib, 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 lib. What the fuck is this? Uh, what is this? You have a video of Joe Bart philosophy, like Joe Bartolozzi, that fucking TikTok guy, talking about Karl Marx and Mr. Beast. What is this, dog? I don't want to watch this.
Sur la scène internationale maintenant, le président américain craint pour sa vie depuis sa partie.
I'm gonna put anglais, yeah.
Participation au sommet de l'OTAN en Turquie en milieu de semaine, sa sécurité est en alerte rouge. Israël a informé Washington qu'un complot iranien pour assassiner Donald Trump serait en préparation.
Just making shit up at this point. Absolutely making shit up. Hi, Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, they are coming for you, Mr. Trump. The Iranians, I'm telling you, the Iranians, they are going to kill you. And they are going to develop nuclear weapon within a week, within a month. You have to act now, Mr. President. Of the United States, we need to bomb Iran. We need to nuke Iran and to eradicate the civilization right now. There you go.
Il a d'ailleurs hier, lors de l'inhumation du guide suprême Ali Khamenei, de nombreux citoyens ont appelé à sa mort.
Ouais, et des images sans équivoque. Hein. On a vu des banderoles avec écrit Donald Trump will kill you, Donald Trump, on va te tuer. Alors, c'est évidemment pas la première fois que le président reçoit des menaces de mort. Et d'ailleurs, depuis le début de son mandat, hein, il a échappé à pas moins de 3 tentatives de meurtre. Mais là, Israël.
No, those were obvious fucking. Man. Either Americans can't use a fucking gun, or these assassination attempts were fake.
Israël a transmis à Washington donc des informations de renseignement indiquant que l'Iran prépare un nouveau plan pour assassiner Donald Trump. Puis là, il y a 2 jours, un mercredi, donc au sommet de l'OTAN, le président a assumé être la cible de l'Iran. Eh bien, voyez justement ce qu'il disait à ce propos.
You know, the life of a president is very dangerous. I'm number 1 on the kill list for Iran.
Yeah, I fucking hope so. You killed like 300 of their fucking schoolgirls. You deserve worse than a fucking missile strike, Mr. President.
De paix, elles sont toujours dans l'air. Hein. Surtout social, ce matin, Donald Trump écrivait « La République islamique d'Iran nous a demandé de poursuivre les pourparlers. Nous avons accepté de le faire, mais les États-Unis ont clairement fait savoir que le cessez-le-feu était terminé. »
Ben oui, tabarnak, c'est toi qui l'as arrêté, mon hostie de chien sale. These fucking guys just fucking bombed Iran out of nowhere. During the ceasefire, of course.
Et autre sujet aux États-Unis, un virus qui a fait son apparition. Le moins qu'on puisse dire, c'est que c'est quand même un peu handicapant, disons.
Ouais, une épidémie de cycloporose causée par un
Another fucking virus.
Parasite donc qui se propage aux États-Unis.
Cool.
Alors c'est sur les légumes crus, les herbes aromatiques, les fruits. En grande partie, c'est le Michigan.
This doesn't have anything to do with this at all. Yeah. It absolutely. It absolutely. I'm blue. Dabbity dabba dabbity dabba. Yeah. I don't even know who's left to make this Zionist propaganda anymore. Like, most of the world is not buying their shit anymore. Unless the first world cocks who still support Israel for some reason. You really have to be a terrible human being. You really do. I've heard enough of the, oh, they've been propagandized their whole life. Yeah, just Jesus fucking Christ, dog. Have some principles. Good principles, please. I think it's because my YouTube app is in French, so it recommends French stuff. You will buy the propaganda, you will. Yeah. Yeah, well. Ah. I wish, Lobra. I wish. I think there was another segment there. I mean, in the concerning the international situation that I wanted to read, but um, that's the Entente London agreements on reparations concerning World War One or Two. Which one was it? That was Stalin. 1924. Okay, okay, that was but World War One. Yeah, my audio interface is the. Okay, my audio setup is a $80 pack from Marketplace. It's an 80-20-20 microphone plugged into a Behringer 8020 USB. Mm. I do think I'm somewhat coherent when I'm high. This time, back in like April, I was high as a kite with some friends who were celebrating the end of our contest. For context, I am a geography student. I am involved in an organization. It's basically a student association. It collects money from sponsors and puts it in a bank account, and then we host contests where we find a problematic in a given municipality. Can be related to erosion, can be related to the fucking land use or aménagement. Fuck lands planning. It's weird to say land planning. Aménagement, yeah. And then we have teams from all over Quebec compete for a prize. So yeah, we hosted this contest, Tetra Minds. This time we had all 4 teams give very incredible projects, so we gave them all $1,000. Anyway, that's the context. I was high with the other co-organizer, a friend who's doing the master's degree in geography. In a bar, he was arguing for hours about who should lead the Quebec independence movement with his roommate slash friend. Like, we're all fucking blasted out of our minds at this point. They were arguing. One guy was saying, "Oh, Québec Solidaire is gonna lead this." The other guy was saying, "Oh, the Parti Québécois is gonna lead this," and they were going back and forth for hours. While I was explaining, while obliterated, how armed Maoist guerrilla warfare was going to liberate Turtle Island from colonialism and capitalism. And I managed to convince someone that gun ownership was important to fight against the capitalist class. And then I spent the rest of that evening eating pickled eggs at the bar counter. Yeah, I did see S4A's economic report. I'm I'm preparing myself for this economic crisis. I should low-key go DoorDash a bit after this. I started DoorDashing recently, doing some gig economy stuff. It doesn't pay that good, but I mean, it's side income and it pays for gas and for some food, I guess. I'm in a good position right now, but I don't know if that's gonna change with the economic crisis ahead. Say what you want, like, the RCP brain word spreading will just make people more and more aware of their fucking incompetence. I don't know. Here's what we know. Oh no, I'm absolutely not high all the time. Maybe once every few months, when I'm with friends. A few months ago, I was smoking a bit more, and I think that was not that great of an idea. Haven't done so in a long time, and I don't feel the need to. But yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Revolutionary Panda, you're absolutely right. Now, I was talking about Maoist guerrilla warfare. I was in this kind of Maoist phase back then. Now I just think the Marxist-Leninist organizational methods is the way to go. We listen. When Lenin attended the first Congress of in the early 1900s, right, of what became the Bolsheviks, there were 9 fucking delegates. 9 delegates. A few years later, there were 50. It all started with an array of disorganized but still communicating organizations, and they organized on a local level, in factories, in workplaces, in tenant unions. The RSDLP, yes, thank you. Russian Social Democratic Labor Party. Is that the actual name? I forgot. Anyway, I've just been really into this sickle and hammer podcast recently. Yeah. Right, I'm still cackling at this Joe Bart philosophy video. Nice, good to hear. I do think it's bad to judge people on like consumption habits, but like coping with capitalism does not mean just smoke all the time. Everyone has their own coping mechanisms. I get mental health issues. I get addiction problems, right? I'm not here to judge people for it, but if you're gonna organize, organize. Do whatever you can. It's just yeah, but I do think it's a non-issue. Yeah. Yeah, Joe Bart. I wonder how TikTok's doing, right? You people are saying it's become a Mossad cesspool. I do agree. I used to make videos on TikTok, but now I don't because right. I'm pulling up TikTok. Riv Charles, I believe. Riv Charles. Is that my username? Oh, that's me. I still have 3,500 followers. My YouTube channel is slowly overtaking it, but look at this. Like, I used to have thousands of views all the time. 78,000, 18,000, 24,000. Though a lot of the audios were muted for some reason. And now it's just 300, 300, 300, 900. And they have barely any engagements.
The Industrial
This just blew my eardrums.
Revolution in Europe.
Shut up, Charles. Yeah. What books did I recommend back then? This just again blew my fucking eardrums. Marxism-Leninism theory recommendations. I'm excited to hear what I have to say about this. Introduction to the Principles of Marxism-Leninism by Jose Maria Sison is quite a good book. Yeah, I do think it spends too much time talking about the the upbringing of Marx, Lenin, Stalin, Engels. Yeah, I don't know why I put this in Mandarin. I haven't read this. I used to LARP as someone who's read theory, but no, there's a lot of theory I haven't read, and this one specifically though is about specifically the Chinese socialist tradition, how it got betrayed, how capitalist restoration happened, and what is to be done regarding this, I think. But there's a better course on this. Marxism-Leninism, Maoism basic course. Yeah. This is not about a great leap forward. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this one. It's very simplistic at times, and like basic course, I get it, but it neglects an actual proper understanding of the surrounding works, let's say. Great book. Why did I not recommend like the basics on this video? I don't know why. Banger. Banger. Nah, I guess, yeah. Or just read Lenin. Yes, yes. Where's anti-during? Absolutely, yeah. LARP, 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 Sahur. I've only read chapter 1. I need to get through it this summer. Why specifically the companion of uncontradictions? I wonder what people said. Most of these are great, but some of them are pretty anti-dingist, which I can't fully get behind. Ay. Your problem with Maoist recommendations is that it's anti-dingist. My guy. My fucking guy. Oh my. Oh, yeah. Claiming to be a communist and supporting the enshrinement of private property rights in a country's constitution is crazy. Aeon Foundations of Leninism, not as in I think it's about work. I did enjoy this read. I think it was helpful, but yeah. I'd rather have a proper understanding of Lenin by reading Lenin, you know? But I do like works that synthesize theory after having done the bulk of the reading as a kind of reading guide. Deprogram viewer. Step 1 on how to make a stateless monolith society: become state-run capitalist. Thank you, Remy. You should read Bourdieu. Why did I like my own comments? I was talking about building productive forces. Why was I LARPing as a dengist? Ay, ay, ay.
Professors are lying to you, and the best place to get information to counter all of that nonsense, PragerU.
PragerU. I wonder how PragerU is doing these days. The dung program. Dung is absolutely a fucking chud. PragerU. Aren't they doing just a bunch of AI slop now? Oh my god. French-Indian War. This is crazy. I don't think we're gonna rage bait ourselves. What the fuck is this? They're still making content about Russia-Ukraine as if Russia is waging up psyop on Americans. My fucking guy. America is waging up psyop on Americans. So is Israel. On all the fucking world, gang. Zionism and American exceptionalism are chung-chunging their sahur to everyone. So madly, lad. What the fuck are these videos? Have you people seen what's his name? Sorry, you have to witness Anarch here. Yeah, true. Yeah. Instead, we should start reading theory from real communists like Kamala Harris, Zoran Mamdani, and Adolf Hitler. Oh, I should listen to quotations from Cherryman Mao full audiobook, the Little Red Book. This is from the Miami, the Miami Maoist Collective, the Miami Maoists. The Miami Maoist Collective. Wow, what a gem! What? Are they actually the Red Guards? I thought those were elsewhere. No, they didn't operate in Miami. The Red Guards, these are the people who assaulted DSA members and just LARPed. Like, this is not community organizing, you're just... I mean, based, if you ignore Gonzalo. What the fuck is this? This is not praxis. This is called LARPing. Like, they actually hung a pig's head next to the DSA meeting. Anyway, wow. Absolute gems. What's it like living in French Guiana? I mean, we're living in the imperial core in a settler colonial state. as a white guy from the proletariat / labor aristocracy. Hamadani viha viha. Like it's just like living in the rest of Canada, I guess. Things are getting worse politically, academically, and we're getting organized, I guess. Post supervision is medium, I guess. Average. Yeah. We're gonna turn who's more proletarian in a contest, like an an oppression Olympics. I am not fucking oppressed. I work a good job. I'm a student. I have a good upbringing. So I have free time to organize and to actually make content and to educate myself on Marxism-Leninism. So, yeah. I've been door dashing a lot on the side. Bro, the gig economy shit is a grind. It's insane. They charge you for the bags you used to deliver. So, yeah, my fucking DoorDash bag broke and now I have to find something else or buy another one. But yeah, people are asses. People are asses. Just give me something to watch. YouTube, please. Please, YouTube. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yo, it's crazy how Vosh had a more principled stance on Platner than a lot of so-called leftists. And this guy's a liberal. He's actually Democratic Party goal. Did he even talk about Platner before? Before actually saying this, total chud victory in Maine. Corporate Democrat and nothing but that. Alright, not fucking working.
Won the primary, and it's super cool.
Why are we matching shirts colors? I'm gonna kill myself because of this.
Chuck Schumer, rolls worst PSYOP Senate candidate of 2026, asked to leave the race. Mills has left. Incumbent governor of Maine, general piece of shit, deep state agent, servant of Israel, etc., etc.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna fucking watch Vosh. No.
By how much they, that's what matters. Mills don't state Democratic parties don't have their problems. They do. But the fundamental rot is coming from the federal Democratic Party. So a lot of these state level main candidates knew from the beginning that Platner was the man, didn't like Mills, you know? Just keep that in mind, all right?
Oh, okay, so he was glazing Platner from the start and backed off with the Nazi tattoo. The Nazi tattoo got him. He won under Terrified. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay. Well, I mean, Vosh is just your average fucking liberal opportunist, right? LARPing as a leftist. Or a socialist. Oh yeah, sorry. I had the volume all the way down for something else. Oh no. Oh,
Someone
what is
asked
this?
me to comment on Richard Wolff. I decided to give it a try. It was worse than I thought. The video was basically the same.
What do you mean the progressive movement? Alright. Huey Lee on the news. Former political scientist, of course. So this guy's a liberal.
Talking points as in China's middle school textbooks from the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, I mean he's a market socialist, a dengist, I guess.
Even China today no longer teaches that childish stuff. You can ask any college kids from China if they still believe the long-term goal of Chinese socialism is to get rid of private ownership of means production. They'll be like, "Are you okay, sir?"
Dengist destroyed by a Chinese liberal. I'll be right back. I need to take a piss so bad. I'll leave you people with Lenin. Lenin, my guy Lenin. I need to set up a better streaming system where I can have a "We'll be right back" screen. That would be very good, I think. What's happening with TPUSA? Who's the president right now? I haven't been following this, but of course, Erica Kirk is the CEO. She hasn't been kirked yet after kirking her husband.
Points are still popular in many parts of the world because they were exactly designed for easy digestion.
Not really for digestion. It's what Marxism is about, the collectivization of the means of production, because if you keep going on a private route, you are reproducing the system of capitalism.
To influence those without scientific training. Marx didn't say most of those words.
He did.
himself. They were popularized by former communist countries using unlimited government budgets. And people like Richard Wolff just copied those without changing a word.
I mean, no, Wolff is. Hurts to say, but he didn't copy Marxist Leninist theory. Wolff is a cooperative socialist. He differs from these Marxist Leninist states by claiming that worker self-management and cooperatives will be the path forward, the way to socialism, to liberation. I think that's erroneous. I think this needs to be done through a revolution where the worker state has where the workers through a state have the ownership or nationalized ownership of the means of production,
even though the original authors already moved on. So this video will be a little long, but I think there needs to be a systematic rebuttal of those economic fantasies before we can sit down and figure out how to promote actually useful programs.
I'll just switch accounts because this is not working yet. 115.
So here's what Richard Wolff said.
But socialism always meant more than that. Not just a government adding to whatever it is you get out of private enterprise. Not government even regulating private enterprise. So it gives workers a better deal than if the government didn't come in. For example, a minimum wage. Socialism always meant more. And I believe the leaders of China and of other socialist countries are quite aware of what I'm about to tell you. That more remains to be done. We survived the end of the kings. The world didn't come to the end. We will survive the end of the capitalists. The world will not come to an end. And all of us, the working people of the world, as we inherit the ownership and the running of the enterprises where we work, will be the better off for it. We'll grow up to our potential in a way we could not before when we weren't allowed to be our own.
It's not just be our own bosses. I think that's a very simplistic way to put it. I think he's gonna call him out for that.
Bosses.
According to this guy and most of his followers, taxing capitalists is not enough.
That's right.
We have to eventually get rid of them.
Yeah.
So the key question I want you guys to think about is who will replace capitalists to provide monetary investment for companies?
All right. We'll stop him there. The whole point of socialism is that it is a stage of economic development that comes after the development of the productive forces under capitalism, where this infrastructure is already there, and we produce a surplus, basically. Now, when we're talking about the replacement of capitalists to provide monetary investments, the socialist state replaces this. And the surplus value extracted from work is not used for the production of commodities for exchange, right? That generate a profit that is pocketed by a capitalist. The surplus value under socialism is basically to be used as infrastructure. Political economy is not my greatest strength, but this is quite the funny argument, right? Socialism also avoids the crisis of overproduction because it is production for use, production for need, not production for the enrichment of these capitalists who replace these. They don't provide any value. Who provided the money for their investments in the first place?
There are two major schools of thought among Marxists. Some Marxists believe that the investment should solely come from the government, which is basically the Soviet model. That idea is no longer very popular,
It is.
But I'll address it just to be comprehensive. The more popular version right now is that the investment should partly come from the government, but mostly come from the workers. This idea is even less practical than the Soviet model, but it's more popular because no one tried it before. And the grass is always greener in the imaginary kingdom. No one has seen it, so it must be better than any existing systems. The same psychological trick as the Christian idea of heaven, right?
No, we're Marxist-Leninists. We're not utopian socialists. I mean, not MLs, but this guy hasn't read Marxist theory.
I'm not saying you can't invent new things, but inventions have to be based on logic. And the hardcore system of worker ownership just doesn't work logically.
Explain.
Okay, let me first tackle the Soviet model. Why can't we rely on the government to control all the means of production? The elephant in the room is that if the government controls everything, who controls the government?
The workers, motherfuckers. The workers. The state is a tool of class domination, one over another, until the elimination of class society.
I don't have to remind you that the government can go wrong, right? How much trust do you have to place in the government to let them control every single firm?
That's why you have a revolution to destroy the capitalist state. The reason you're untrustworthy, or rather that you don't trust the government right now, is that the government is a word. Government just means the ruling party. You're looking for the state, not the government. You're already using the wrong terms. But talking about letting the government control every single firm.
But even if the
government, not an actual argument,
is always competent, which is a crazy assumption. But even if it's
how is that crazy?
It's true. How does this competent government set the price and quantity of
planning
each product?
Through planning.
How can the government possibly know how many socks they should make every year?
With trends.
How many types of socks?
He's doing the whole ECP thing again. This is a non-argument.
How many different colors for each type of socks?
Planning.
If socks aren't tricky enough, how many movies should they make every year?
You can ask the USSR that produced movies. What kind of... Oh my god. Using this argument for the artistic sector is actual crazy work. You, as a state, provide support for people, artists, who want to provide society with their idea, with their movie, right? There are actual state subsidies for movies. Most movies are state subsidized. At least here in Quebec, right? The state provides subsidies for culture and media. And we're a capitalist nation.
Yeah. How many actors and directors and makeup artists should they train every year? This is a constant problem in all state-owned economies, from the Soviet Union to East Germany to China under Mao to the present-day North Korea. The supply and demand of products were always disassociated. There was always too little fun and too many nukes. China made
too many nukes, sure. The USA is the only country that nuked anyone ever.
8 movies in the entire 10 years of the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, but you're talking about a country that was basically, you're talking about a feudal country. During the Cultural Revolution, China was going from a feudal, semi-colonial state with basically zero industry to a world superpower, battling with good and bad policy, bourgeois ideology. He's going to compare it with the USA, isn't he?
Because that was exactly the optimal number in the eyes of Chairman Mao. Isn't it telling that you've never seen any hardcore Marxists, including Richard Wolff, talking about that problem?
Oh yeah, everyone on the Marxist left has talked about economic planning, and that has been theorized for decades. You haven't read Marxist theory, so you don't know.
Do you remember any of them making a video about how a communist government chooses prices and...
No, but scientific articles, yes.
Quantities? No. Because they don't know. Nobody knows. It was all just gut feelings of the Politburo.
The Politburo didn't decide that. That was the Gosplan, the government planning agency. at least in the USSR.
There is no scientific way of calculating how many types of toy dinosaurs each kid should have.
So we should just overproduce a shit ton of toys and have everything end up in a landfill a few years after.
There's only one feasible way to determine prices and quantities.
Again, like, the point is not to destroy all industry and startup from nothing. No, the point is to use the actual current productive forces of the capitalist industrial society to nationalize everything and then plan the economy according to previous trends. What the fuck is this guy talking about?
And whether to invent new stuff. And
they just give microphones to anyone nowadays.
And that is through decentralized market decisions. If my factory's inventory went up, I'll produce less. If my products are popular, I'll produce more. If people are tired of my old products, I'll invent something new. How else can you do it? Tell me. You can feel free.
This is not an argument about against socialism and against, like, go ahead. Tell us how capitalism will, or the private model of ownership, with its constant growth, produce the conditions for curbing climate change. Go ahead.
To develop new theories, new models, but Marxism does not address that problem.
It does.
Even some self-identified socialist countries like China and Vietnam are mostly relying on decentralized economic players. You guys think you have a better idea? Okay, now let's look at the other type of ownership structure Marxists are suggesting. They're like, oh, we don't want the government to control everything. However, we want workers to own the firms. As I said in other videos, I have nothing against worker-owned firms.
There you go.
There are already many worker-owned firms in America.
Not that much.
You know Publix? A wildly successful grocery chain in southern states. It's actually worker-owned. The red state version of socialism. However, Marxists are not satisfied with just having some worker-owned firms, because that's already the reality.
It's not the reality, man. Most of the firms in the world are privately owned. And our problem with worker-owned firms not being enough is that they only reproduce the same overproduction of commodities as standard private ownership capitalism. It's not a structural, a systemic change. It's simply a model of private ownership.
Too lame. What they want is for all firms to be worker-owned. In other words, they want non-worker-owned firms to be outlawed altogether.
What a simplistic way to put it. The guy in the beginning said that they explained it like that because it was simple for people with no scientific background. He's doing the exact same shit as Richard Wolff, but in an ANCAP way.
If you just think a little deeper, you'll see how ridiculous that idea is. If we ban non-worker-owned shareholders, how does the company raise money? For a labor-intensive business like retail, it may be okay. You may be able to find enough workers to cover the capital investment.
My guy, you are operating in a constant growth mindset, not in a production for use mindset. And again, this does not address any of Marxist political economy. This does not address the problems of capitalism. He's going to argue for regulation, I guess. I don't know.
But say if your company makes cars or smartphones or large buildings or any projects that require a large sum of investment, where does the money come from?
The state.
You ask each worker to chip in? How is that even conceivable?
Because you expropriate the capitalist and his capital. You know that the firm itself, has a running fund, right? That it uses through the extraction of surplus value in worker-owned firms to grow the enterprise. But we don't want to operate in a constant growth mindset. The point is to plan according to need.
Even if the workers manage to find enough money,
we're not playing Factorio here. The factory must not grow.
How much risk do they have to take for their company? If their company fails, their life savings are gone. Imagine when you go to a job interview and the guy is like, if you want to work here, you have to invest $20,000 in the company. What the heck? There's a reason a capital market exists in every functional economy, including China, who calls itself socialist. You need people.
Because China is a capitalist country with private property rights enshrined in the constitution, because Deng Xiaoping is not a communist.
People who can afford to take risks, to invest in companies that they don't necessarily work in, whether through the stock market or investment banks or venture capital. You need a...
But this is not an argument against Marxism. This does not relate to the title about Marxism not helping the progressive movement.
way to channel money to projects. That's going to
State investment.
be true until the end of time. You can't require every investor to be a worker in the company they invest in. And vice versa, you can't require every worker to be an investor of the company they work in. Some people are happy to provide labor and skills without putting their own money on the line. And some people are happy to put their money on the line without having to work for the project full time.
You don't have to invest $20,000 of your own money into the worker-owned company, but anyway, one of the reasons we dislike worker cooperatives as an end-all be-all is because it reproduces the same capitalist relations.
You can't force these two groups of people to merge into one. There's no way. Also, do the math.
Yeah, that's why you have nationalized state enterprises for the large industries. That's why you have state job guarantees. You have an enshrined right to a job.
If a person wants to invest in 5 different firms, under the hardcore version of socialism, they will have to take a job in all.
Why would they invest in different firms? What's the point of wanting to invest in 5 different firms?
All 5 firms. How is that physically possible?
Why are you running the mindset or the assumption that we need to invest in 5 different firms?
See, all these contradictions are so obvious that you don't need any fancy economic theories to understand them. You just need 5 minutes of quiet thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very quiet in your head when you think, man.
Some people say that mainstream economists don't talk about Marxism because they are in the pocket of capitalists. These people obviously
That's the case. That absolutely is the case.
don't understand how the academic job market and the peer review process work.
You know what the academic job market is, right? Academies look at people who can produce who can produce ideologues, but first of all, a lot of these academics or economists work for think tanks, neoliberal think tanks, liberal think tanks. The peer review process here just means it is reviewed by peers, either in their own institution or by other institutions. It doesn't mean it's not biased. Methodology or the norm in a given field, economics, doesn't mean Marxism is wrong regarding political economy. It just means that the ruling ideas are those of the working class. This is the superstructure in action.
That'd be another topic. The reason economists don't talk about Marxism is because there's nothing to talk about.
Oh, we're done
The
for,
worker
guys.
ownership
Nothing.
idea is just too obviously naive.
But this is not what Marxism is. Marxism is a critique of the capitalist political economy.
It's hard to write a fancy academic paper to debate something this obvious. You can't publish in an academic journal if your point can be illustrated in just a few hundred words. Okay, there's no conspiracy here. It's just the nature of academic publishing requires economists to write about complicated, nerdy stuff. Arguments for or against a
Complicated, nerdy stuff. Come on, guy. My guy, you have a degree in political science. This does not make you an economist. Just a liberal conception of political science, of course. University of Michigan. That's the same university that Persephone van der Woerd went to. That's funny.
system of worker ownership are just not nerdy enough for academic
What do you mean not nerdy enough? What the fuck are you talking about? Of course, universities, private universities, are not going to support the publishing of Marxist papers. They're going to diminish it, and they're going to prevent these ideas from going mainstream. Do you not understand the economic superstructure?
publishing, because that system is way too unrealistic.
You're not explaining how it's unrealistic.
Richard Wolff may call himself an economist, but
He is. He's just an anarchist.
all his recent books are self-published without going through the peer-reviewed process. In essence, he's an
I mean, they're books. They're not academic articles. They're books.
influencer.
Yeah.
His business model is talking to the public, not the other academics.
He does both.
That's why you don't see other academics debating him. So that job falls on me, a guy who actually enjoys clarifying basic intuitive stuff. I spend a lot of time debating hardcore socialists because their activism makes actual progressive policy much harder to pass.
Oh my fucking god.
They teach people to be cynical about reforms in taxation and welfare.
No. We're just saying this is not enough. We absolutely do support these fucking reforms. We're just saying that it's not enough when your fucking country, the United States of America, genocides people in the global south to export more and more finance capital into countries who want to sell off their fucking land for cheap.
Because
Brother.
they only focus on the means of production. Like those are some magical infinity stones. They make it easier for Trump to portray the left as crazy communists.
What the fuck are you babbling about, my guy?
And of course, some of them discourage voter turnout by labeling liberal candidates as traitors and sellouts.
Because they fucking are. A lot of them are opportunist, liberal Zionists. Like, of course, why wouldn't we label liberal candidates traitors and sellouts? That's what they are.
So guys, ditch those weirdos, please. Worker ownership or state ownership ain't gonna cut it. Having some of those is fine, but making them into a mandatory system that excludes private capital is insane.
You're not explaining how this is insane. Oh, of course, he has the video about social and necessary labor time not being able to be measured or tested. What the fuck are these kind of videos? Man. Ay. Yeah. Typical reaction, you're anti-socialist bullshit from progressives who would be considered conservatives in any other political climate outside of the US. So many of these comments reflect both the political ignorance and arrogance of Americans, as if people way smarter and more informed than us haven't been trying to figure out this whole what should be done question for hundreds of years. The genius of Marx was that he derived the path to communism not from wishful thinking, but identifying the engine of change that drove all previous revolutions in productive development of the mode of production. So allocation of surplus value and class conflict. Oh my god. Again. Oh my god. It's all so tiresome, isn't it? What do you think of neo-Fisherianism? Like, I've read a bit of capitalist realism, but I don't think this theory is very revolutionary or useful. I think we need to understand Marx, Lenin, Engels, Stalin. I repeat. Van der Waard. Van der Waard did the same thing to as she did to Banana to me. The same amount of videos, the same my face on her pornographic blog with weird ass fucking images. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, what a bit of an awkward end to this stream. I'm gonna end the stream now because I want to have the rest of the evening to myself. I'm gonna DoorDash a bit, I think. Make a bit of a moolah on the side to pay for a pizza without having to withdraw from this bank account of mine. MTOH, yeah. But before finishing, yeah, you do raise an important point. Of course, these people who endlessly critique Marx and Marxism and socialism, communism, they never actually read the work. They read summaries or plagiarize critiques, or yeah, they only refer to critiques of Marxism. They've only ever read critiques of Marx from people like fucking Jordan Peterson. They don't actually do the reading. Same thing with Anarch. Just LARPing just pretending to have done the reading while never having done it. So it's pure anti-intellectualism. It's pretending you're more intelligent and superior to Marxists in the South, right? Anyway, yeah. Thanks everyone for coming on stream. That was very fun. I always like to interact with everyone here. So yeah, have a good night, and I'll see you all once I'm done writing this video on social progress. And yeah, during that time, if you find any videos worth reacting to deconstruct or to critique, send them to me wherever. My Discord is at kebab. And yeah, down with Graham Platner and the liberals and the social democrats, social